Good evening, Source Nation, and welcome to Healthy Cooking with me, Chef Keith. This is a show where I will show you how to prepare healthy meals, but before I go any further, let me thank our sponsors who have made this show possible, and they are Scott's Care Foundation, that's Scott's Cares with an S Foundation, Meet My Types Matchmaking, Urban Grandstand Digital, Cat Photography, Hits Masters, New Covenant of Praise Worship Center, and PS Photography. We have something different, a little something interesting. We're going to make Moroccan style chicken wings with apple couscous, and we're going to make a homemade biscuit to go along with it. Now, starting off, I'm going to use 1 cup of yogurt, but I'm not going to use all the yogurt here. I'm just going to use a half a cup of yogurt right down here on their wingdings, not whole wings, but you can actually use this dish with 3 wings, which would be equal to 6 wingdings. You're going to make sure your spoon doesn't touch the raw chicken, of course. That is actually practicing healthy, safe cooking. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add some cinnamon. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, and I'm going to use a teaspoon of paprika. You can actually use 2 teaspoons of paprika. And I'm going to mix everything up here. Make sure all my chicken wings are nice and coated. This will be our marinade here. I know this is a little different to use something different for chicken wings, but you'll find out it'll be nice and tasty for you. Just going to stir it up, get everything nice and coated, and I'm going to just go ahead and sit that into the refrigerator. I'm actually going to sit that in the refrigerator for about 30 to 40 minutes. I'm going to use a half a cup of flour. I'm going to add the rest of the yogurt to the flour. And also in that flour dish, I added a little bit of baking soda, a little bit of salt, sea salt. Yeah, just going to dab that in there right quick. And everything looks beautiful. And also, for a little bit of extra something, I'm just going to add a tablespoon of garlic in there as well. Just to give it that little extra something. I'm going to stir everything up here. This is an easy way to make biscuits. You know, you can actually use this same exact recipe to make some good pizza dough. For those of you who want to make a different style of pizza dough, you can make it at home. I'm going to stir everything up here. Going to get everything all incorporated. Use my extra spoon to get the little excess off of there. Nice and easy. Just going to keep stirring and mixing everything together. All my ingredients. Going to get all the flour off the sides. And you can see our dough is coming together for a biscuit. You can actually customize this any way you want. If you want to add cheese or if you want to add something else, this would be a good time to do this. But like I said, just real simple. Yogurt, some Greek yogurt, a little salt, a little baking soda. You can even add a little sugar if you want to. It's an easy thing to do. Just going to pick everything up, make it into a nice round ball. And I'm just going to keep kneading the dough. Just want to get everything incorporated here. And once I form it into a ball, you'll see it's going to take a little bit of mixing, but not too much work. You can do a lot with this. See? Nice and easy. I'm just going to set it in a bowl right there. I'm going to leave it sitting out for the exact same time that I'm going to marinate the chicken wings. Gonna move over to my skillet on the stove, and of course we through the magic of radio and the magic of video, we've actually had 35 minutes approximately pass here. I'm just gonna put some butter into a pan. And it's already nice and heated, so it's going to give that nice little sizzle and sear that we're looking for. Nicely done. Just get everything nice and heated. And I actually set out some aluminum foil on a little pan I have here. And I've made my dough into a nice round ball here. And before I place my dough onto the aluminum foil, I'm going to spray it a little bit with a little non-stick low-fat spray. And I'm just going to place my biscuit right here on the foil. Nice and easy, right? I'm going to pour a little bit of olive oil over the top. This will help with the browning. Just going to use my brush and brush the biscuit here. Alright. Get nice and glossy, dressed up, ready for lunch. And you can see right here that my pan is ready. All the butter and oil, olive oil, have melted down. I'm going to go ahead and grab my chicken wings or wingdings. Wingdings would actually be best for this dish. And you can see there's a nice little sizzle going on because the pan is hot. Just going to place all my chicken pieces down here from the marinade. Right down here on my skillet, in my skillet rather. I have my oven on 350. I don't want to cook this too fast. But putting everything in a pan like this will add extra little sear onto the side. And you can see everything sizzling and ready to go. And remember, my oven is at 350, Source Nation. So, right here I've taken everything out after 10 minutes. And it's still a little sizzle going on here. It's beautiful. We didn't add any salt, anything extra. This is pretty much straightforward in the cooking. And I'm just going to turn everything once. Right here, see, that's beautiful color. We're looking for that nice little brown color here. Remember, these are going to be baked and not fried, so we're not deep frying these chicken wings. This is a nice little something you can do if you're tailgating and watching the game. See, we turn everything. It's nice and beautiful. And 10 minutes later, we're going to pull it out the oven again. You can see the nice little browning going on there, because in essence what we're doing here is baking everything. Set that right down. Nice. Turn everything. Make sure there's nothing sticking. So that's 20 minutes in at 350. Just going to turn and make sure everything is coated the way that we want it to coat. We don't want to lose anything from the marinade here, so we want to keep moving everything so it doesn't stick, so we don't lose any of that. And those of you who are big fans of chicken wings, you're going to enjoy this. It's going to make you nice and happy, make your tummy nice and happy, Source Nation. So while I put that back into the oven, I'm going to go ahead and take one apple. You can choose what type of apples you want to make here. I just got a Red Delicious. Cut the ends off here. There's different ways you can peel your apples. I know some of you have apple peelers, for the skin. Something used for potatoes. For this particular recipe, I'm just going to take all the skin off here. And of course I sharpen my knife. And I'm going to be real careful to make sure that I don't take any of the apple meat off. No, you're going to hear apple and meat in the same sentence, but that is the way it's described. Just going to shave everything off here. Alright, nice and easy. And right here, I'm just going to take my knife. I'm going to cut around the core. 4 cuts, and you should be right around the core there. And these apples are getting ready for our couscous. So for your apples, you want to make them as small a piece as you can. You can chop them real finely if you choose. But I want to incorporate everything in here so that you get a little bit of apple every spoonful you get from your couscous. So I'm just going to chop everything down here. Make nice chunks. I'm going to keep chopping here. Fantastic. Easy to go. And of course we've been cooking together for a couple months now, so I'm sure everybody is fantastic at using their knives. Just going to dump everything into the bowl here. And we're ready to go. Now what I did was I added some water because I want everything to be submerged in water. You want to add water to your apples just to make sure they don't start to brown. I'm going to add a little bit of lemon juice here. And that's beautiful. The lemon juice helps with that as well. And make sure your apples don't get brown before you cook them. And also I have a lime that I want to add as well. Just gonna sprinkle some lime juice in here, and that's it. Nice and simple, right? And as you can see, after 30 minutes You can see our biscuit is nice and brown. And you can see I sprinkled a little bit of Parmesan in there at about 20 minutes. I sprinkled some Parmesan on top of the biscuit. And you can see it's nice and brown. It's nice and chewy. If you want to add butter to it at this time after you cut it open, that's nice. I'm going to use actually 1/3 a cup of water. And I'm not going to try to boil this too fast because I want to cook my apples. So I just got it on a little bit of low because it won't take long for that little amount of liquid to start to boil. I'm not going to add anything to it. So I'm just getting that ready for your couscous. Couscous is easy to prepare. You don't want to get scared off by couscous at all. It's just about making sure that your measurements are proper. So for 1/3 water, you want to use actually a 1/4 cup of couscous as well. You're just going to absorb all the water in after you cook it. I'm just going to put a little butter into my pan here. Let that get started and melted while my water is getting ready. And I have this actually on a little under medium heat. It's not quite medium. You can do medium if you want. But I don't want to overcook my apples. I don't want them to cook too fast. Just move everything around. Nice and beautiful. And everything is ready to go. Now, of course, I've used my strainer. Get all the liquid out of there of the apples. Nice and heated up. Those of you who are big fans of apples, you're definitely going to love eating some fried apples. And you want to make these just like you're making apple pie. So I got all my chunks down there on my skillet. And you see we got a nice bubbly sear going on here. And so I'm just going to cook these down a little bit just to get all the water out of everything, to make them nice and soft to the touch and to the bite. We're going to take a little bit of that crunchiness out of there. And we're cooking them. And if you want to make apple pie, this is the best way to start. You want to saute your apples. I'm going to sprinkle some cinnamon on here to stay with our theme, our Moroccan theme. And I'm going to put some allspice in here. So I used actually 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. And I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of allspice to add here. And I'm just going to keep moving everything around. You just want to make sure everything is getting cooked evenly. You would also want to make sure that the apples are not sticky. But of course, we got rid of that issue happening by adding a little butter. And I'm just going to keep tossing and turning so that each piece is coated by the cinnamon and allspice. Just a little bit of work, but I know you're not afraid of that, Source Nation. I know you're not afraid of a little bit of work, especially for a delicious meal. And we are replacing our vegetable in this dish by adding a little bit of fruit. And it's cooking down. Everything is nice and happy. Source Nation, I must tell you at this point, I'm very appreciative by your support. And you should also make sure that you listen to Source Nation, Source Radio Network, as much as you possibly can, because there is no other fantastic radio network that is on the air today. because we keep you informed. We show you everything you need to know, and we are about our listeners. So as I stir everything up here, just going to keep mixing everything around. And it smells amazing, but of course you know that. I use the word amazing a lot, but it does. You know, you eat with your nose first, then second with your eyes. So you like to have nice, wonderful smells in your kitchen at all times. This is just about patience. You're going to make sure that you get everything cooked down the way that it should go. You can test all your apple pieces by pressing down with your spatula, seeing if they will easily break apart. And again, I continue to move all our apple pieces nice and beautiful and delicious. So we're using Red Delicious. Here, stirring it around. Yes, we would definitely want to make this nice and delicious. I want to make sure all my apples are tender and ready to go. See, I'm just going to press down here, seeing how soft all the apples are getting. Alright. And beautiful. Now, of course, our water is ready to go. Sometimes you can add olive oil to your water. And the fantastic thing about couscous is you can flavor it any way you want. You just have to add it to the couscous. After it's went in the water, you can put actually raisins in here, and they will plump up when you cook them. You can make them savory if you want to use olive oil and a little salt and a little butter. But I'm using the apples that I sauteed. So I'm just going to dump a third a cup of couscous into the water. I'm going to turn off the heat here, and I'm going to stir everything up. I'm going to get all that apple taste incorporated into the couscous. I turned off the heat, and I'm going to go ahead and grab my lid and place my lid over the top, and I'm going to remove it from the stove and let it sit. And of course, there you have it. You give it about 3 to 5 minutes, the couscous will have absorbed all of that liquid. If you want to make that nice little dome for your couscous, it's a little trick I learned by just adding the cup and putting everything in the cup and turn it upside down. Beautiful and tasty. So there you have it. Another simple meal. Now, wasn't that easy? And once you finish it up, you'll find out just how tasty it will be. But before we go, I just want to thank our sponsors who make this show possible. And that's Scott Cares Foundation, Meet My Types Matchmaking, Cat Photography, Urban Grandstand Digital, Hits Masters, New Covenant of Praise Worship Center, and PS Photography. So tune in next week with the Source Radio Network with me, Chef Keith, as I'll show you how to make tasty and very affordable gourmet style meals in your very own kitchen. Easy, affordable, gourmet style cooking is as close to you as you are to your kitchen. I'll see you next week.